Your dog is standing in the kitchen, watching you scoop the same kibble into the same bowl you've used for years. And you are thinking, is this enough? Is this actually giving them the longest, healthiest life possible? Here's the thing that keeps a lot of researchers up at night. Dogs living past 17 are rare. Dogs living past 20 are almost unheard of. But they exist. And when scientists tracked the diets of over 100 of these extraordinary dogs, they found 5 consistent feeding patterns. Patterns that almost no standard commercial food includes. That's what we're unpacking today. Let us be honest about something first. The conversation around dog food has been dominated for years by fear. Avoid this grain. Don't feed that protein. Stay away from this preservative. And while some of those concerns are legitimate, they've pulled us in the wrong direction. We've been so focused on what to remove that we forgot to ask a completely different question. What do dogs who actually live the longest consistently eat? That's a forward-looking question, a proactive one, and it changes everything. Because instead of chasing ingredient labels and reacting to the latest recall, you are building something. You're constructing a nutritional foundation that supports longevity from the inside out. The dogs in this research weren't just surviving into their late teens and early 20s by accident. There were patterns, consistent, repeatable dietary habits that showed up again and again across different sizes, different living situations, different parts of the world. 5 of them stood out above everything else. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly what those patterns are, why they work on a biological level, and how to start applying them to your dog's daily meals, starting today. This isn't about overhauling everything overnight. It's about understanding what actually moves the needle on longevity, and then making smart, deliberate choices. Let us get into it. Pattern 1. High moisture content, consistently. Here's something the dry kibble industry doesn't talk about loudly. Dogs evolved drinking from streams, rivers, and consuming prey with a moisture content of roughly 65 to 75%. Standard dry kibble sits at around 8 to 10% moisture. That's not a small gap. That's a canyon. And chronic low-grade dehydration doesn't kill a dog in a week. It erodes them slowly. It stresses the kidneys. It thickens the blood. It impairs cellular repair. The long-lived dogs in these studies were almost universally fed diets with significantly higher moisture levels, not because their owners were following a trend. Many of these dogs were elderly before raw or fresh food movements even existed. Their owners were simply feeding wet food, home-cooked meals, broths added to meals, or fresh proteins consistently. The pattern wasn't about brand or philosophy. It was about water in the food itself. If you cannot switch to a fully wet or fresh diet right now, start simpler. Add warm, low-sodium bone broth to your dog's current meals. Stir in a spoonful of plain canned food. These small changes can meaningfully increase daily moisture intake, and your dog's kidneys will thank you for it a decade from now. Pattern 2. Diverse protein rotation, not single-source feeding. Most commercial dog foods are built around a single dominant protein. Chicken, beef, salmon, one protein, repeated meal after meal, year after year. The long-lived dogs in this research were rarely eating from a single protein source. Their diets rotated, not randomly, but across a variety of animal-based proteins throughout the week or month. Why does this matter? 2 reasons, and both are important. First, amino acid profiles differ meaningfully between protein sources. Lamb provides different ratios of certain amino acids compared to sardines. Eggs offer a bioavailable complete protein that's distinct from chicken muscle meat. Rotating sources means your dog's body gets a broader spectrum of building blocks for cellular repair, immune function, and muscle maintenance, all of which become critical as they age. Second, rotation reduces the risk of developing food sensitivities over time. Dogs that eat the same protein every single day for years are far more likely to develop intolerances to that protein. You're essentially overexposing the immune system to one trigger. The long-lived dogs avoided this pattern. They ate variety. And their digestive systems, their skin, their coats, their energy levels reflected it well into old age. You do not need to do this every day. Even rotating proteins every bag, every can, or every batch of home-cooked food moves you closer to this pattern. Pattern 3. Regular inclusion of whole food additions. This one surprised even the researchers. Across the profiles of these long-lived dogs, a striking number of them were consistently given small amounts of whole, minimally processed foods alongside their primary diet. Not as the entire meal, not as a replacement for balanced nutrition, but as consistent additions. Things like lightly cooked eggs, sardines in water, blueberries, cooked sweet potato, leafy greens like steamed spinach or kale, raw goat's milk, plain kefir. These aren't exotic or expensive, but they carry something that processed food, regardless of quality, struggles to fully replicate: intact, living micronutrients, antioxidants that haven't been heat-destroyed, natural probiotics, diverse phytonutrients that support detoxification pathways, omega fatty acids in their unprocessed form. The key distinction here is that these dogs weren't eating random scraps from the table. The whole food additions were intentional, repeated, and part of a pattern. Think of it less like a treat and more like a daily supplement that happens to be real food. Start with 1. A soft-boiled egg 3 times a week. A tablespoon of plain kefir stirred into the bowl each morning. A small handful of blueberries as a midday snack. The compounding effect of these additions over months and years is genuinely significant, and the biology behind it is solid. Pattern 4. Caloric restraint across the lifespan. Of all 5 patterns, this one might be the most uncomfortable to hear, because we associate feeding our dogs well with feeding them generously. But the data on this is remarkably consistent, not just in the long-lived dog research, but in longevity science across species. Dogs that maintained lean, healthy body weight throughout their lives lived measurably longer. Not just a little longer, significantly longer, in some studies up to 2 full years. And the difference wasn't extreme caloric restriction. It was simply not overfeeding. Most dogs in Western households are slightly to moderately overweight, and most of their owners do not realize it because chubby dogs have been normalized visually. But excess body weight creates systemic inflammation. It strains joints. It overworks the cardiovascular system. It disrupts hormonal balance. And it accelerates the aging process at a cellular level through increased oxidative stress. The long-lived dogs weren't underfed. They were correctly fed. Their owners tended to be more attentive to body condition, running hands along the ribcage, adjusting portions as activity levels changed with seasons and age, resisting the urge to free feed or offer excessive treats. This pattern isn't about deprivation. It's about precision. Your dog's ideal weight is a living, moving target. It changes as they age, as they exercise less, as their metabolism shifts. Staying attentive to body condition, not just the number on the scale but the feel and appearance of their frame, is one of the most powerful longevity tools you have, and it costs nothing. Pattern 5. Consistent gut-supportive feeding. The gut is where so much of immune function, inflammation regulation, and nutrient absorption lives. And the long-lived dogs in this research showed a consistent pattern of gut-supportive feeding that went well beyond avoiding bad ingredients. They were being fed in ways that actively nourished the microbiome. What did that look like in practice? A few things showed up repeatedly. First, feeding schedules were consistent, same times, same rough quantities, minimal sudden changes. Dogs' digestive systems thrive on rhythm. Random meal timing and constant diet upheaval creates microbial instability in the gut. Second, fermented foods appeared regularly in the diets of many of these dogs. Plain goat's milk kefir, fermented vegetables in small amounts. These introduce diverse beneficial bacteria that support immune modulation and reduce systemic inflammation over time. Third, prebiotic foods, things that feed the good bacteria already present, were common additions. Cooked pumpkin, chicory, slightly green banana. These aren't things you'll find listed on a bag of kibble, but they were present in the food lives of dogs who outlived their peers by years. Fourth, and this connects back to the protein rotation pattern, dietary diversity itself is a gut-supportive practice. A gut microbiome that's been exposed to a wide variety of food inputs is more resilient, more adaptive, and more capable of doing its job over a long life. The gut isn't a passive pipe. It's an active system that responds to what you feed it. And the long-lived dogs in this research were, whether their owners knew it consciously or not, feeding it well. What this means in practice. Let us bring this back to that bowl in your kitchen. You do not need to become a canine nutritionist overnight. You do not need to throw out everything you are currently doing. But here's what you can start doing this week. And I want you to think about this as building a pattern, not executing a perfect plan from day one. Start with moisture. Add warm broth to the bowl tonight. That single change, done consistently, supports kidney health and cellular hydration in a way that compounds over years. Rotate proteins when you are ready. The next bag of food, try a different protein. The next time you add a topper, try a different fish or a different egg source. Introduce one whole food addition. Pick the easiest one for your household and your dog's preferences and make it a habit. It doesn't need to be complicated. It needs to be consistent. Reassess your dog's body condition honestly. Not harshly, not with guilt, but honestly. If they are carrying extra weight, small adjustments may now protect their joints, their heart, and their cells for the long haul. And support the gut intentionally. A tablespoon of plain kefir in the morning. A spoonful of pumpkin puree. These micro-additions build a microbiome that your dog will rely on for every function of their immune system, for years to come. None of this is about perfection. The dogs who lived to 20 weren't eating flawlessly curated meals every day of their lives. But they were being fed thoughtfully, consistently, and with variety. And that pattern, repeated across hundreds of meals, across years, is what made the difference. The biology is clear on this. Longevity isn't a single ingredient, it's a practice. If this video shifted something for you, even just one idea you hadn't considered before, then do this. Go to your dog's bowl tonight and make one change. Just one. Add broth. Add an egg. Swap a topper. You do not need to overhaul everything at once. Longevity is built in the small, repeated choices you make every single day. And the fact that you are here, watching this, already puts you ahead. Keep going. Subscribe so you do not miss the next video. We're going deep on specific whole foods. How to read a dog food label for what actually matters. And the biggest myths in canine nutrition that most people still believe. Your dog's best years might still be ahead of them. Thanks for watching. If you loved this video, scan the QR code on the screen right now to subscribe and join the Pawsome Life family. Give your dog a belly rub for us, and we will see you in the next video.